Welcome back to another episode of the free VST Plugins Detective, where I review, test out, and demonstrate various free VSTs. For today, we're looking at the Abstract Vox. This one is fire. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. I'll kind of get more into the details as to why I'm giving it the 0.5 deduction, but this is an unbelievable plugin, a free unbelievable plugin, because I find when it comes to a lot of free plugins, there's a ton of guitar ones and piano ones or whatever. But it's tough to find, I think, especially vocals or any type of like vocal or choir. I noticed especially on this channel, the biggest searches that have my videos being discovered are actually people just Googling or searching, hey, I need to find a free choir or voice or vocal VST, and that is Abstract Vox. Now, what's unique about this, I'm going to click here, is that there's a bunch of different voxes, or basically one-shots of vocals, and a bunch of different genres and styles that you can use in your tracks. So this is my track, Cold Brew Coffee. Basically, this is one that I'm releasing on one of my albums under Style Free, which is basically like another artist project that I started that's basically a blend of like hip-hop and lo-fi, basically like, you know, just random beats that I'm working on. So here's the track. I'll play a little bit of it. I know, some shameless self-promotion, but... Right, so like some, intense hip-hop vibes. And what's cool about it, I'll kind of solo this now. I have two of them that I used, so you can hear this one. Right? And now this one. So, going now to the actual plugin. So when I load it up, you'll notice that... Actually, I'll load up a new one, because it makes a little bit more sense. So let's say I load up a new one. I think I have it here for right now. So when you first start it, if I play it... nothing happens. You're not hearing anything. So I'm going to go click here to start, and I'm going to go to factory. Now, there's two kind of unique ways you can use this plugin. You have the all voxes, and then the 61 different individual voxes. So if I have it on all voxes, I'm going to play it now. I have to solo it, of course. Think of it kind of like a typical percussion VST, where each note on the entire kind of spectrum has a different sample, right? So if I kind of go up and down, right, just to sample a few different ones. Now, if I select an individual vox, I then can adjust it by pitch. So I find that for me personally, when I'm using this, and this is how I actually used it in this particular song, I kind of click around, find one that I'm like, hey, you know what, this is kind of cool to have in the background, like especially for like a hip-hop record, to have these kind of one-shots like I showed you. So I'll start with 25. It's actually my lucky number. So now when I click the individual vox, sounds like this. Right, that's kind of cool, actually. Now if I pitch it up, right, so that way you can kind of mix it up, where in the beginning you could always play all the voxes, and then be like, hey, you know what, I like this one, and then kind of solo that one, and then kind of adjust the pitch depending on the key of your song. But I find it's actually just easier in general, at least for me when I'm working with this particular plugin, to kind of click around, you know. So a lot of these I haven't heard yet. I usually actually just click around. Pretty cool. So basically that is the Abstract Vox. Now the main reason why I'm giving it a 0.5 deduction is because I feel like this is really just a sample pack. That really is all it is basically just 61 different vox or vocal samples that you could use in your track. So on one end, it really is just a sample pack with a GUI. I've talked about this before, especially when it comes to like percussion plugins, for example. It's really just a sample pack with a GUI. However, the reason why I'm giving it such a high rating, and normally I wouldn't, is because it's so difficult to find free vocal one-shots, and especially too sometimes when I'm working on a song, especially like a hip-hop record, for example, I don't want an actual lyric. Like, I don't want someone saying something that's lyrical. I want more of like a vox or like a one-shot choir sample or something like that. As you can hear with these, it's a vocal, but it's not having any words to it. And sometimes that's exactly what I want. So it's tough to find these samples. You know, sometimes I dig through like Splice Sounds, for example, to find samples like this. And especially, like I said, in this song, having these two, it's perfect. So again, playing these as well. And then this one. Right? So especially in the mix now, again, showing you. Right? Just subtly in the background. And that's how I personally use them. Now, one last thing that's incredibly important that I have to say near the end of this video, and I was reading this actually by Chris Lake, who's a very famous electronic music producer. He said that any single time you're working with a VST, always save the samples, because you never know. Let's say in 5 years I pull up this project and Abstract Vox is gone from the internet and I don't have it anymore. I will lose these samples. So one big pro tip, I haven't done this yet actually on this project because I haven't completely backed up all these files yet, is you want to do something called freezing and flattening. So typically the best way to do it is to duplicate. I'm going to do freeze. I'll just do this real quick, I guess. And then I'm going to flatten it. So now I have the actual samples from it. And I can probably just, duck this out, mute it like so. Because that way, when I go to collect all and save, which I suggest you do by going to File, Collect All and Save in Ableton or any DAW that you're using, that way, let's say in 5 or 10 years from now, if I want to pull this up, I have the samples rather than having to rely on that VST itself. And I think especially for a VST like this, especially because it's free, you never know if maybe, and I've seen this before with other free VSTs, that you're using it, and then let's say if your computer crashes or you lose some information, you go to re-download that VST, especially if it's sample-driven, sometimes it may be lost. Sometimes the person who made it, their site doesn't exist anymore. They made this one quick plugin just for fun. So I think especially for a free VST like this, you want to do freezing and flattening or resampling. That way now if I have this, I just save that now. And now when I play it, obviously it sounds the exact same because it's just the audio recording of it. And now you save all the samples from Abstract Vox. So that way, any single time you want to use it, any single time you want to pull up a project or use any of these samples, you're pretty much good to go.